everybody. Ooh, nice little welcome to the South right here. What's going on, everybody? It's hashtag chillin'. chillin'. It is the next morning after sleeping in a hammock. It was a wonderful, I was asleep so fast. Had the hammock strung a little bit too tight, but I was too lazy to get up and take care of that. So the thing was wrapped around me like a cocoon, and it was like sleeping on a tightrope. I actually fell out of the thing the first time I got in it. You're not supposed to keep them really tight, but the distance between the two trees that I picked was, it really didn't give me a bunch of slack. And so you're supposed to have a little bit of slack so that when you lay in the hammock you can spread out. But when it's really tight, it wraps around you like a cocoon, and it's really hard to get yourself in there. But once I got in it, I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting up. I'm not making any adjustments. It is what it is. And but I was asleep so fast. And as usual, my body is trained to get up at the exact same time every day. So with the hour time zone change, I was up at 5, and I got out of the hammock at 6, and now it's 6:30, because I've been, I went and took care of business this morning, and just been kind of, the camp pack down was 4 minutes to ball up the hammock, put it back in its thing, put the sleeping bag away, 3 or 4 other things. So I'm ready to leave as soon as I fold this chair up and stash it in the van. I'm just taking a little minute to enjoy the light coming out. It was dark half an hour ago, but now the sun's coming up. Looks like it's slightly cloudy, but I do see some color in the clouds. So there is a lake here. I'm not even gonna go look at the lake. I'm not gonna take a picture. I just want to get out of here. I got a 10+ hour drive ahead of me, so 11, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gonna be like 6-7 o'clock tonight when I get to my friend's house in Texas, and that's with a straight shot, just jamming on some tunes and enjoying the drive. So yeah, there's not gonna be much in the way of stopping to enjoy the things on the way. I mean, normally as a photographer, I've gone through so many cities in the last day. Pittsburgh, Buffalo, well, I didn't go into Buffalo. I was in the southern area of Buffalo. But I went through Erie, PA, Pittsburgh. Let's see, what was the next one? Columbus, Cincinnati, Louisville, Nashville, Memphis, and maybe, and I mean, right in all of these cities. And normally I would be stopping at known viewpoints, to get some skyline photos at the very minimum on one of these kind of adventures and drives. But if I would have done that yesterday, even once, it would have added another hour to my arrival, and I didn't get here until it was like 9:30 when I got to this campsite, but it was already dark, and I was just ready to chill. And so, but yeah, it was the first night. I got to stay out past the curfew of the homeless shelter. That was nice, and sleep outside. And the hammock, the sleeping bag, those were in my homeless backpack. That's how I would have been sleeping had I just decided not to go sleep in the shelter. I had a tarp that goes with it that I just didn't pull out last night, and good, because that would have been a waste of time. The weather was really nice all night, and no, it was like the perfect little campsite. You can see over here, someone left a ton of firewood at this spot, and so I had no reason to even, when I'm on one of these camp and go situations, if I see a gas station out of the corner of my eye and they have firewood outside, I'll pull in and grab a bundle. And that's what I did last night. I said to myself, you know, it was kind of like a conversation with God. I was like, God, how many times do I come rolling in on a campsite and you've got a big giant firewood pile just waiting there for me when I get there? It happens all the time. I have really good luck. Out of all the campsites in this campground that I'm at, I'm looking around. This is the only one that's got a big pile of firewood sitting in it, and I didn't see this firewood pile when I pulled into the campsite. I just said, this one seems good, and I pulled in. And then I get out of the van and I'm like, oh wow, look at that firewood waiting for me. It was like it was all stacked and ready to be lit. And but that happens to me all the time. It's crazy. I can be out in the wilderness going on a 20-mile backpacking hike, show up at, like, even those kind of hikes, you'll find that people make campsites in good places. When if it's a trail that a lot of people hike all the time, you're going to find along the trail there's going to be places where people said, oh, this is a good camp spot. And they'll just be, they say leave no trace. But in reality, when you're going on hiking trails and places like that, people do not only leave a trace, they leave a ready-made campsite. And there's two schools of thought about that. Like, would you rather have people traipsing over and tamping down and just making their own campsites all over the forest? Or would you rather just let people leave their ready-made spots so that as hikers are going through, people are going to go, oh yeah, that's a good one, and just camp there and camp in the same spots over and over again? So I don't know, there's pros and cons to both, but when you go on a hike, even through the wilderness, unless it's like a bona fide national park, there's a big difference between a national park and a national forest. If it's a national park, you're only really allowed to camp where they tell you can. And if you get caught, now granted, some of these places are vast and, they're probably not going to know. Leave no trace. That's when you leave no trace. You don't want any evidence that you were ever doing that, because the rangers don't, they're going to let you know that you should have left no trace. You shouldn't have been seen if you're doing something you're not supposed to. But in a national forest, it's the opposite of that. It's like a free-for-all. You can pretty much camp anywhere in a national forest that you want to. So in those situations, people leave campsites just ready to go. Fire rings, nice fire rings made out of stones, and just people put some crafty stuff out in the middle of the woods. You'd be amazed what you find out there. And so I just have this knack, and all my friends know it. I can show up at a campsite 10 miles into the wilderness, and boom, there's a big giant pile of firewood just sitting right there. And but there are times I go camping and you pull into like one of these campgrounds like this and the woods are completely picked clean, and that is definitely not the case here. Even if this firewood pile didn't exist, it would have taken me about 5 minutes. I'm looking around and I see so much firewood just in my peripheral vision that it would have taken me 5 minutes to have more firewood than I could burn in a weekend, with a little camp saw that I have. I tore that up. It would have been no problem. But sometimes you go to a place that's popular, a place kind of like where I'm sitting now, and all of a sudden you will run into the situation where the place is picked clean and there's no firewood to be found, or it's going to be really hard to get, or it's wet, or 20 other things. And just having a bundle of firewood that you got from a store that's dried and seasoned and ready to go, it can save you a hassle. Especially like last night, one bundle from the store would have been enough to, I couldn't even make it through a whole concert last night on my live music MP3 collection here, and I was already falling asleep in the chair. So that would have been more than enough firewood to get through last night. And it just all I wanted to do was pull into this campsite and have camp set up and sitting by a fire in 5 minutes, and I did that. So well, that's the 10-minute update. And so I'm off to Texas as soon as I get off this video and get get woken up a little bit here. And so probably not going to hear from me anymore today. Maybe tomorrow. It will be Thursday. Tomorrow you'll probably hear from me to some extent. And so I'll just leave it there. Have a good one, everybody. Later.